piece of hypocrisy to point out with regards to this, and specifically King Charles. I have to get used to saying King Charles now, who has just given his royal assent to new laws in the UK that okay the idea of gene-edited foods being unlabeled and undifferentiable from normal foods. He has just given his royal assent to that, despite the fact that King Charles not only was the person who literally launched the Great Reset. When the World Economic Forum had their launch party, it was King Charles who did that launch and was the first speaker.
The time to act is now.
Who announced the Great Reset to the world. But King Charles goes around the world jet-setting, of course, flying his private jets with all of his attendants. He has something like 120 staff who look after everything, including setting the bath temperature to just the right way and putting the bath plug in just the right position, cooking several different eggs for him every morning so he can find one with just the right consistency, traveling around with his own personal toilet seat, all of course the stupid royal nonsense. But also, he travels around with, and not only his personal chefs, but his personal food supply, which is organic food only, because he will not touch the very stuff that he's trying to foist on the rest of us. But don't worry, guys, as part of One Health and as part of the UNEP, quadripartite, whatever they're going to thrust down your throat, they're going to say that this is in the name of protecting Mother Earth from those horrible, horrible farms that are producing all this horrible greenhouse gas emission. You guys are eating meat. Oh, you're eating all these horrible, you're contributing to the end of nature. What you need is this bioengineered, lab-produced gunk from these corporations that have monopolized that industry. That's what's good for you. Just don't look to us to be eating it. No, that's for you guys, the plebs out there. Anyone who is not disgusted, truly disgusted by the hypocrisy of this agenda, truly isn't paying attention to it. It has nothing to do with saving the planet.
Giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushua, Ba'Hashem HaRachakodash. Send double honors to our apostles and elders, here Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. Elder Apostle Ramlab did a lesson a day ago titled Get Ready, which prompted Elder Apostle Har as well as other brothers to do a response in his response to King Charles, saying that his regime is going to go ahead and go forward with the implementation of the digital ID. So what news with that was show you that he's the one that really kicked off the Great Reset. So this is them moving forward with their agenda. This is why the data centers are being quietly fast-tracked and approved and under the people's noses. This is why they're taking down people's videos, exposing it. They're telling people that we're going to seize your home, we're going to take your home, we're going to redirect power for the sake of these data centers. They're rolling out the digital ID. They're rolling out the real ID. Moving very quickly with the agenda, which is known as the image of the beast in the scriptures, which today the modern term is the New World Order. And the dragon seeks to steal freedom from everybody on the earth, especially the poor, because the scriptures talk about that there is an extreme disconnect between the rich and the poor, and you can't understand it, because not only are they the rich, but they are also the wicked, which means they lack humanity, they lack integrity, they lack it all. What the spirit reveals is that this wicked that's in charge, the wicked elite, the international bankers, the Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, etc. I said Oppenheimer. I meant the other family names, right? We just did a class last night, and we were talking about Oppenheimer. That's why I mentioned it. But these wicked rich elite only care about themselves, and they want to rob the ability for the poor to live. They look at the earth and they say, we don't like the fact that everybody has access to food without our say so, that they have access to water without our say so. We don't like the fact that everybody has the ability to travel without our say so. We don't like the fact that these people are able to be self-sustainable and use the earth to survive without our say so. We don't like the fact that they're eating meat. We need to reserve such luxuries to only the rich and they need to ask permission from us. In fact, we'll feed them 3D lab-grown meat from cancer cells. If you didn't know, those are all made from cancer cells. And say that these peasants, these poor, they don't deserve the right to leave the city to travel. We want to steal all of that from her, and we want to reserve the world for ourselves. The scripture says he has an evil covetousness and is as death. And the scriptures tell you that death cannot be satisfied. This is what the book of Revelation warns about. And they're about to move forward with this. So indeed, get ready. Spiritually, of course.
We're not talking about a dystopian future. This is happening right now.
Hey you guys, my name's Ansley. I live in Coweta County, Georgia. I wanted to come out here and show you guys firsthand what is happening to our county. So as you can see behind me, we have these power lines. Georgia Power is going to expand these lines to support power to the data center. What they're doing to homeowners is they're taking their homes. This is my childhood home behind me. It is being taken by force by Georgia Power. Homeowners in this county do not have a choice. It is called eminent domain, and they will take it.
Eminent domain means they have the ability to seize your land if they say that it's for the greater good. So if they say we can build a shopping mall here and it could generate a lot of tax revenue, we will take your land, and this is for the greater good. This is just another part of his system to ensure that you can truly never own anything, or you could truly never be free. This is why it doesn't make any sense. You know, you have our people who want to use the system to liberate themselves from the system. Don't understand that the system is a trap. It is a pit. It is designed to ensure that all of its slaves remain in debt and dependent on the system. That's why it's down there impossible to loose yourself from the system. Isn't everybody seeking what they call financial freedom? But why is it so hard to achieve? Because it's really not something you're supposed to achieve. That's only supposed to be for a select few. Everybody else is just supposed to be in debt forever. Because if you're in debt, then that means you're going to just have to work, and you'll work to fill the pockets for the select few. And you poor, you just work all your life. That's the snare of the system. That's why people found out the American dream is really the American nightmare, because it's all just a trap. So they can come and take your land anytime they want to. They can just say this is for the greater good, and this is what they're doing. They're stealing people power. They're taking their homes because they're trying to get this going ASAP. They don't have, they look, we got to skip the voting process. We don't care what the people think. We don't care what they want. We're just going to do it because your so-called selected or elected officials work for the wicked elite anyway. That's why when they want to go do something, they're going to make sure your so-called selected officials do it. You really don't have any power here. And that's why a lot of people are starting to realize that, which leads to uproars of the people and revolts and sedition, because now the people are realizing that they're all being funneled into a box to be put with injections and to eat lab-grown meat and to be locked into a city and unable to loose yourself from this system. And that's why this devil's moving quick, because the faster you get the system set up, the faster the people will be in debt to him. That's why he's trying to get this digital system going ASAP.
The official explanation is that these facilities are needed for cloud computing and artificial intelligence. But according to an insider who works underground setting up one of Gates's Manhattan-sized compounds, the reality is far darker than anyone realizes. The whistleblower describes underground server halls stretching for miles, packed with systems designed not just to store information, but to monitor and predict human behavior itself. Entire divisions dedicated to real-time population tracking, behavioral modeling, and predictive surveillance. These systems don't just collect data, they're building profiles of entire societies. Every phone is a tracking device. Every smart appliance is a sensor.
That's why, if you notice, you haven't gotten actually an official explanation as of why those data centers are needed. And you're not going to get one. because the official explanation you're gonna get is that they're needed for the sake of Palantir. Palantir is the online AI program that they're trying to roll out that will track 24/7 everything that's said online, everything. And their whole idea is to predict behaviors and predict patterns. This is how they can pick up on the rebels or pick up on anybody who speaks the truth. And they're going to say, we need these programs because had we had this going, we could have prevented the next insert terrorist attack that probably most likely is going to happen. For the record, you should keep an eye on this. But you know that guy, Lucky Larry, you know, the one who owned the Twin Towers, the tiny hat that owned the Twin Towers and that doubled the insurance policy on it for terrorists support or whatever they call it, just like 10 weeks prior or 2 weeks prior, something like that, just bought a building in California, a bank, all at the same time where they're trying to accuse Iran of possibly doing an attack in California. So everybody called that out, right? Everybody called that out. So what are they saying? What are you planning? So you keep your eye on that. But they have these false flags set up that's going to happen, that they're going to say it happened on so-called American soil, and they're going to blame the enemy. They're going to blame Iran, or they're going to blame and eventually they're going to blame the Israelites. One of these so-called attacks, just know it's going to most likely be an Israelite. So-called. It's going to be somebody with a Facebook that he's in the Israelite group or whatever his thing is. And this is how they're going to draw attention to the Israelites and say the Israelites now are also on a threat list and they need to be monitored and watched too. But we already know that's what they're going to do. And they're going to work off the fear of the people, the American people, and say this is why we need these systems, because we can track and we can prevent the next one. They have to deceive the people, but as you can see, they're running very low on time, which is why they're skipping all of the processes and just fast tracking them, because they're setting it up to control and put the people in slavery. But they're not. They don't want to tell them that. You see?
Because the machine is already protecting itself while it's still being built.
I made 2 videos talking about how Georgia Power is taking families' homes and properties against their will. One of those being my own family. I have a personal connection to this story. But when I made these videos to speak out against it, TikTok banned my videos. They said that they're a violation of community guidelines. I never violated any community guidelines. I only came on here to tell the truth about what's happening in Coweta County, Georgia. This is happening to at least 30 people. Some of them are elderly, cannot handle this on their own. Some of these people have families. Some of these properties have been passed down by generation to generation.
And here's where the globalist future becomes true.
They took your video down because you're not allowed to speak the truth. And that's the point we're coming in. You're not allowed to speak the truth. You're not allowed to spread awareness to what we're doing. That's why, starting with the apostle said, get ready. This is Sirach 13, verse 2. He says, burden not thyself above thy power while thou livest, and have no fellowship with one that is mightier and richer than thyself. For how agree the kettle and the earthen pot together? For if the one be smitten against the other, it shall be broken. The rich man have done wrong, and yet he threateneth withal. The poor is wronged, and he must entreat also. If thou be for his profit, he will use thee, but if thou hast nothing, he will forsake thee. If thou have anything, he will live with thee, yea, he will make thee bear, and will not be sorry for it. If he have need of thee, he will deceive thee, and smile upon thee, and put thee in hope, and he will speak thee fair, and say, what wantest thou? And he will shame thee by his meats, until he have drawn thee twice or thrice, and at the last he will laugh thee to scorn. Afterward, when he seeth thee, he will forsake thee, and shake his head at thee. Beware that thou be not deceived and be brought down in thy jollity. If, I'm going to jump down. And I'll keep going. If thou be invited of a mighty man, withdraw thyself. And so much more he will invite thee. Press thou not upon him, lest thou be put back. Stand not far off, lest thou shalt be forgotten. Affect not to be made equal unto him in his talk, and believe not his many words. For with much communication he will tempt thee, and smiling upon thee he will get out thy secrets. But cruelly he will lay up thy words, and will not spare to do thee hurt, and to put thee in prison. Observe and take good heed, for thou walkest in the peril of thy overthrowing, and when thou hearest these things, wake out of thy sleep. So he's explaining the difference between the rich and the poor. Verse 18, what agreement is there between the hyena and the dog? And what peace between the rich and the poor? As the wild asses is the lion's prey in the wilderness, so the rich eat up the poor. As the proud hate humility, so doeth the rich abhor the poor. So that's the difference, or the gap between the wicked elite rich and the poor. They do not care about your feelings. They don't care about your homes. They don't care about none of that. They don't care about the earth. They don't care about their hypocrisy. They don't care that it's blatantly obvious that they're hypocrites. They don't care that they're not following their own standard. They're gonna lie their asses off. They don't care. They're gonna say this is to save the planet. You're no longer gonna eat meat. You're no longer going to eat real food. You're going to eat these crickets, and you're going to eat this lab-grown meat. And we'll work to make the taste artificial. And we're going to remove the labels so that you can't tell if it's real or if it's not. You don't need to worry about that. You just need to do what we tell you. They don't care about. Then when Trump was just asked, this war is really hurting America, he said, I don't care. He said, all I care about is that Iran can't have a nuclear missile, which really what he's saying is he's just following orders. Trump is just a puppet to the wicked elite rich, the international bankers. He's just doing what he's told. But whenever he runs out of lies, he just comes up with whatever. Like when he was rolling out the National Guard throughout the states, and he was saying Chicago is terrible. They need help. We're sending help. That's an incompetent mayor. But then the mayor came out and he said, actually, statistics show that this is the safest Chicago has been in years. So what did he say? I don't care. We're going anyway. So he'll lie, and then when he gets cornered, then he just say how he really feels. Remember, attacking Iran at first was, we thought they were going to attack us first, to they're 2 weeks away from having a nuke, to we thought they were going to attack Israel first. They thought, we wanted to get ahead of that. We thought they were planning something big. And then, we're only going to be there for 2 weeks. And then he finally just says, I don't care what's affecting America. I don't care. Yeah, that's how the devil gets down. Don't care that the gas prices. He basically said, I don't care. It ain't affecting me. I don't care. Because he's just following orders anyway. But he can't sympathize with the people at all. They look at you all as cattle any damn way. So when they go to roll out this chip, the people are going to be, and everything they're doing now, the people are saying, how could you be this desensitized to the people? How could you do something this inhumane? Well, because there is no connection between the wicked elite rich and the poor, especially them being the wicked as well. They don't understand. They're not going to care. And he's coming down with great wrath. But here's the rebuke to them. James chapter 5. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. So somebody like Prince Charles, all right, the devil. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which of you kept back by fraud, crieth. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of the Sabbath oath. That's talking about the Israelites. They basically used us because you can't be free labor to build this entire society up until now, and even now they still basically got us on auction blocks. If you've seen that video, Fulio, I guess his killer, they were literally auctioning him. They were saying we could kill him, but he's healthy, he's good shape. We can get a lot of work out of him. So you're still in slavery, being sold on auction blocks. That's still Deuteronomy 28 in effect. It goes on. So our prayer and our cries have reached to the ears of the Sabbath oath, which means the Lord of hosts. Verse 5, ye have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of the slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doeth not resist you. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and have long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain. Be ye also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. And this is why we say, get ready, because the Lord is about to avenge the wicked in his pride. But all these people out here who can't seem to understand, how can they be so wicked? How can they be so distant? How could they do such a thing? How can they be that inhumane? They don't understand prophecy or the scriptures. These people do not care. The wicked, elite, rich do not care about the poor. It says, so the proud hate humility, so do the rich abhor the poor. They just see you all as what do they call them? What do they call you? Useless eaters, and they're looking to delete you. Millions. The first little rule on their little Georgia Guidestone was maintain humanity under 500 million. And there's over 808, it's estimated over 8 billion people on the planet. So what does that mean? They're looking to try to get rid of you by any means necessary, man. So yes, get ready. Shalom.